Are you tired of running the same old slow miles for base training? Look, I get it. What if I could instead build a solid foundation while still adding a bit of speed, strength, and endurance to your training and my training? Well, in today's video, I'm going to share 3 simple tweaks that top runners use to shake up their running and really boost their improvement. I'll show you how I did it and how you can do it too. Building your aerobic base is the fundamentals of running. And I just finished my run in this snowy winter wonderland. And now I'm coming out to do this video for you because it was a little too dangerous to actually be trying to film this while I was running on the road and trying to deal with everything. But it is a great time to build an aerobic base is during the winter time. If it's around like November, December, January, this is a really peak period for that if you want to run a spring marathon. Like this is what I've used in my running experience when it comes to training. Now, a lot of people get base building kind of wrong and confused because they think that aerobic base building during that period is all about running slow all the time, but not necessarily. And according to a lot of coaches out there, you know, Patrick Sang, which is Kipchoge's coach, Phil Maffetone, the father of running, as far as I'm concerned, it's Arthur Lydiard. I mean, according to these guys, building aerobic base is super important, but it's not just all about long, slow miles. There's more to it. But we'll start off with number 1. The first thing with aerobic base building is you want to build your base by getting in a lot of mileage. And by doing that, you need to make sure that you are running safely and efficiently. And I used the Maffetone method. I used heart rate training to get myself there when I was running for my ultra marathon. And so I would start by slowly building up my mileage week by week by week by week. Because as you build up a strong aerobic base, it actually gets you ready for the next phase that we're going to talk about in one of my next videos coming up. Now, the other component, even though we're building up our mileage, we also need to have that long run. So whether it's on a Sunday or it's on a Saturday or midweek, however you figure it out with all of your work schedule commitments, that's going to be up to you. But I found with me, I would do mine on a Sunday and I would slowly work my way up 10% each week, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, just depends on how I was feeling and how much time I had. And as I built up to that distance, so once you've got some mileage under you and you've been doing this for a little while, a couple of weeks, maybe a month, maybe 2.
How do you know when the body is fully adapted to the aerobic workload? You'll know when your body is fully adapted to the aerobic workload when you see consistent improvements in key markers without signs of overtraining. So here's what to look for. You're running faster at the same heart rate. Now this is aerobic efficiency. You should be able to run further during the same amount of time than you had been when you first started. And if you're seeing increased results month after month, you know you're on the right track. Also notice that your resting heart rate is now lower than it was before. So a dropping resting heart rate specifically measured in the morning indicates better cardiovascular efficiency. If your resting heart rate was 60 beats and now it's 50, you know that your heart is pumping more efficiently. You bounce back faster after runs with less soreness or fatigue. If you can run back-to-back aerobic days without feeling wrecked, your base is pretty solid. If you can run longer without needing carbs, for example, your long runs feel easier with less fueling, your body is relying more on fat oxidation. If your long aerobic runs feel smoother and you're not wiped out after, your endurance is also improving. How long does full aerobic adaptation take? Well, beginners, it can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months. Highly experienced runners could take 3 to 6 months. And even more highly trained athletes, maybe 8 to 12 weeks. When do you move to the next phase? If your pace at MAF heart rate has plateaued for 4+ weeks, it might be time to introduce some more variable running, such as strides, hills, tempo runs. If your long runs feel easy and your heart rate stays stable, even late in a run, your aerobic base is strong. Your neuromuscular. Now, these are important. A lot of runners, I never wanted to touch these. it was like a plague. I didn't want to go anywhere near tempo runs, even though I knew how good they were for me. I don't know what it was. But I knew one day I would have to add them in, and I did. So adding in some of these workouts into your base building will help you as well. So whether you're thinking about base building, I don't mean full on no speed whatsoever. I'm talking about like 80% slow, 20% faster. Tempo runs and hill sprints will be the next ones. Now, I like doing tempo runs. They're pretty cool. And basically when I do them, I would do them again, zone 3, right? Maybe mid zone 3. And you would do them for like 20 minutes. Nothing hard, nothing long. But again, you're doing your warm up, your cool down, and you do that in between. That's fantastic. That'll work out really well for you. I know it worked out well for me. Now, hill sprints are fantastic because you want to be able to make sure that your brain is connected to your feet, right? It's telling it what to do and it understands what it's supposed to do. And so by going out and putting in, let's say you're doing 4 to 5 sprints uphill with a full recovery back down, and maybe you do them for like, I don't know, 10 seconds, right? Full out fast as you can go, can't go any faster, right? And then you hit that and then you kind of jog back or walk back down and then do full recovery, right? Whether you're standing there or whatnot, that's what I did. And then you do it again, and then do it again, right? Do it 3 times, and then 4 times, and then 5 times. Kind of work your way up, depending on how advanced you are. That for me was building strength, right? Building strength, being able to run more efficiently, and making sure that my brain or my legs understood what my brain was telling it to do. These connections can work wonders, and that's something that it's taken me a long time to kind of figure out, but man, running up hills, it's a good thing. Strides and hill repeats are fantastic for your neuromuscular system. Now, strides you can just do at the end of one of your slow, easy runs, and maybe you're doing like 100 meters, 95% almost all out, right? As fast as you can possibly go, up to about 95%. Maybe you keep it there for a couple of seconds, 1 or 2, maybe 3 seconds, and then dial it all the way back again. Just let yourself do a little bit of a recovery, then do it again. I mean, doing 4, 5, 6 strides kind of at the end of one of your easy runs will really help with your neuromuscular system. Now, the next thing that would be really helpful for your neuromuscular system is lifting heavy. Yes, I'm talking about going to the gym. Maybe you got one in your basement, the garage, maybe you got your gym membership. But I'm talking about that because if you go into the gym and you do some lifting, heavy weights, like do 5 to 10 reps, that'll work wonders. And you can fit that into your running schedule. Obviously, you want to prioritize running over everything else, obviously, because that's the thing that you're focusing on. But you need to make sure that you do set aside some time to do the weights. It's super important to get strong and keep you out of the injury box when you're running. If you focus on your core, your hamstrings, your glutes, like maybe you don't work out on the machines that totally isolate these, but maybe you do standing exercises with weights, maybe without weights, wherever you are in your running, that'll be able to help. Because when we're running, think about it, you're on one foot. You're landing on one foot, you're like hopping. So you got to make sure that each leg, talked about going to the gym. Okay, that is great if you can get out there 1 to 2 times a week. But now I want to talk about what you can do a couple of times a week before you go for your run. Maybe or maybe after your run, maybe think about doing some, push-ups, some planks, crunches. Maybe you're doing some bridges. Maybe you're doing planks. Maybe you're doing side planks. Maybe you're doing any of those things that you can do
just for strengthening. Obviously, you can make a habit of that, because that's something else that I have done in the past. And that to me also worked wonders to be able to get me onto that start line of my ultra marathon. It takes a little bit of time, it takes some discipline, but it's gonna put you in the right frame of mind. Base building is a great place to be, because after base building comes some other types of training that is, it can be a little hard. Okay, let me get back inside so I'm not trudging through all the snow. And that way I can talk a little bit more about what the coaches had to say when it comes to base building, because I think you'll want to hear this.
Arthur Lydiard, I called him the father of modern endurance training. Well, he is famous for emphasizing high mileage base training at an easy pace. Key quote, "Miles make champions." His approach? He prescribed 8 to 12 weeks of aerobic base building, often running up to 100 miles per week at a conversational pace before adding in speed work. The impact? His methods have influenced nearly every elite running coach today. Phil Maffetone, MAF training, aerobic development through heart rate-based training, and his key quote is "train slower to race faster." The approach he took was he developed the 180 minus your age formula to keep runners in the aerobic zone, preventing burnout and injuries. His approach has helped endurance athletes avoid overtraining and maximize fat burning efficiency. Patrick Sang, thoughts on base training. He believes long-term aerobic development is the key for success. Slow running builds strength and efficiency. Even Kipchoge runs at a relaxed pace for much of his training. Speed is only added once the body is fully adapted to the aerobic workload.